What is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over some tips on how to be successful with shotguns in Fortnite. It should be fairly obvious by now that the shotgun meta in Fortnite has dramatically changed the last few weeks. For the past year or so, the pump shotgun was easily the most dominant shotgun in the entire game, and therefore, that's the shotgun everybody used. But now that the pump is gone, we have two shotguns in attack and combat that are both pretty close to even in terms of usability. Because of this massive change, even though Season 9 is a few weeks old at this point, a lot of players are still struggling to find success with the new shotgun meta. So that's exactly what this video is here to help you with, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so I want to start this off by quickly revisiting the whole tac shotgun versus combat shotgun debate. I made a full video about this topic on my channel a few weeks ago, but one of the most important points I brought up in that video was the fact that the combat shotgun was suffering heavily from a really weird problem where its damage was super inconsistent. It turned out that the inconsistency wasn't just in our heads, it was actually a legitimate problem with the weapon that Epic eventually fixed. Because of this, I believe that the combat has overtaken the tac as the best shotgun in Fortnite. I don't think there's necessarily a huge difference like there was between the pump and the tac, but I just feel like the combat now offers more consistent and reliable burst damage, and it obviously has a major range advantage as well. So now that we've cleared that up, let's get into how you can be successful with both of these shotguns in Fortnite, and yes, it is important that you're able to have success with both of them. As I discussed in my last video, Fortnite hit the combat shotgun with a pretty significant rarity increase last week in update 9.10. Based on my experience and what I'm hearing from a lot of other people as well, it's now pretty darn difficult to find a combat shotgun in a regular game. So despite your thoughts on it, there are going to be times you're simply going to be forced to use the tac for long periods of time. So the first tip that's really important when it comes to using the combat or tac shotgun is to not be afraid to aim down sights in certain situations. This is one of those things that not a lot of players are probably used to doing with shotguns, specifically because of old habits with the pump. That's largely because the non-ADS crosshair size of that shotgun was just absolutely perfect. It was large enough to where you didn't need to have perfect aim to land at least some pellets, but at the same time it was small enough to where even from a few meters away, you could position the entire crosshair on your enemy's body so all 10 pellets would hit when you shot. The tac and combat, on the other hand, each have their own unique issues when it comes to crosshair size. The tac's crosshair is too large, which means that unless you're shooting an enemy at point blank range, you're likely to miss at least some of your pellets, which obviously minimizes the amount of damage you can do per shot. On the flip side, the combat shotgun's crosshair size is too small, to where for a lot of players it's hard to get any of it positioned onto their enemy's body. One of the best ways to neutralize the ineffective crosshairs of these two shotguns is to aim down sights. And because they have unique crosshair sizes, the way you want to ADS with them is very different as well. However, one thing I want to make clear is that when you're in a point-blank range fight against a player that clearly sees you and is gonna fire back, that's still a situation where you don't want to ADS. By ADSing in that scenario, you severely limit your mobility and become a much easier target to hit in general. Also, if you play on a lower sensitivity, your enemy may be able to move faster than you can track. So with the combat shotgun, anytime you have high ground over a player, or you're shooting from behind a position of really good cover, or you're up against an enemy who isn't really looking at you, it's a good idea to fully ADS for at least the first shot you take. By ADSing with the combat, it becomes a lot easier to take advantage of its crazy range compared to other shotguns, and you also give yourself a much better chance to control the really small crosshair. Here's a quick little clip of me utilizing ADS with the combat from a position of high ground.
I know. Yeah. I got 3. Okay. Yeah, there's a guy. There should be a guy knocked in here. I don't know if his friend's gonna go for a revive.
With the tac shotgun, ADSing at least a little outside of point-blank range engagements is practically a must. I saw a really good tweet from GhostIssa, maybe the best controller Fortnite player on the planet, that sums it up really well. He replied to a clip of someone hitting a bunch of low-damage shots with the white tac by saying, "Why didn't you ADS? It's a must with the tac, it does so much more damage if you ADS." By ADSing with the tac, you make its incredibly large crosshair a decent amount smaller, therefore making the amount of pellets you hit and damage you do a lot more consistent. I showed you guys in my How to Abuse Aim Assist video that it doesn't necessarily have to be a full ADS, but even just tapping LT/L2 right before you shoot will make the tac a lot less frustrating to use. The next tip I want to go over is the importance of strafing in shotgun fights and how this is also different now compared to when the pump was the dominant shotgun. When everybody was using the pump in close-range shotgun fights, you were only able to fire a shot roughly every 1.5 seconds. When you compare that to the tac in the combat, the tac can fire a shot roughly every 0.66 seconds, and the combat can fire a shot roughly every 0.54 seconds. With that in mind, here's a rough recreation of how most 50-50 point-blank range pump shotgun battles used to go. You'd line up and take your first shot, then jump around like a crazy person for roughly a second and a half trying to dodge your enemy shot. Then line up and fire your second shot, and jump around like a crazy person some more. This would basically be repeated over and over again until one person eventually landed enough shots for a kill. Because the tac in combat fire roughly 2.5 to 3 times faster than the pump did, there's no longer those long periods of time where you're only focused on dodging shots because your shotgun still isn't ready to shoot again. So especially if you're a player that struggles with jumping and aiming at the same time, which will probably be the case if you have a normal PS4/Xbox controller, the solution is to be constantly strafing in those point-blank range shotgun fights. By constantly moving left and right, you make yourself way more difficult to hit, while at the same time not sacrificing anything in terms of aim or the timing and rhythm of your shots. An added bonus of strafing while shooting shotguns is that not only does it make you much harder to hit, but it could also slightly improve your accuracy as well. I made a video a few months ago about something called Exponential stick acceleration. In case you missed it, it's a mechanic that makes it so that whenever you move your right stick to aim in Fortnite, the speed at which your crosshair moves is constantly changing. This is the biggest reason why it's so much harder to hit shotgun flick shots on controller compared to mouse, where there's no aim acceleration at all. Whenever you're strafing in shotgun fights, you're moving your crosshair with the left stick instead of the right stick, which means no aim acceleration. So just by constantly moving left and right, there will be times where your enemy winds up right in the middle of your crosshair for a super easy shot. And very quickly, as this video is coming to an end, I want to share one last interesting little tip I recently heard regarding shotgun aim. Last week, I was flipping through Twitch streams watching people play the World Cup qualifiers, and I don't remember exactly who the streamer was, but he seemed to be a very good player. And someone in his chat asked him something along the lines of, "How is your shotgun aim so good?" To which he replied, "Instead of focusing on the shotgun's crosshair, I always focus on positioning the enemy in the very middle of my screen." At first, I didn't really think much of this, but I guess it kinda does make sense. If you're primarily focusing on the crosshair and secondarily focusing on the enemy, it'll probably be a little harder to track that enemy compared to if you just fully focus on putting them in the middle of your screen where you know the crosshair will always be. So I don't want to fully endorse this tip because it's not something that I can personally say definitely helps, but I thought it was worth throwing in at the end of this video because who knows, maybe it'll really help certain players. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. This video is about how to succeed with shotguns in Fortnite, so I want to know. Are you a player that feels like you're doing better with shotguns now that the combat/tac are the only options? Or did you feel like you were better when everybody just used the pump? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.